So you've been looking at a laser, like to get a 30 watt, but boy, they're expensive. I have here in front of me the longer B1 30 watt laser with features that we're going to go over here shortly. And you can get this for under $1,000. And we're going to unbox this, put it together, and take it through its paces coming up. I'm Roger, welcome to the shop, and if you watched any of my previous videos, you know that I use quite a bit of longer machinery, like 3D printers and lasers and such, and I've been using them for quite a while and had very, very good luck with them and no problems. Other than normal maintenance, they've been pretty much trouble-free. What I have here, and this was provided to me by Longer to test demonstrate, and I have this before it has been released to the public. We are going to unbox this and put it together and see what all it does. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning, you can get this 30 watt laser for under $1,000. And I'm really curious to see exactly what the architecture is and everything. I know it has a little bit larger working area than regular desktop lasers. And I also know that it has limit switches, which is a big plus in my book when I'm using a laser. It also has a control where you could turn the air assist on and off right from Lightburn, and you don't have to mess around trying to remember to turn it on. Just set that in your layer and it'll turn it on and shut it off as needed. And we're going to see how that works too. So first thing I need to do is open this box up and see what we got. Find out how much assembly is going to be required here. We got a big piece of foam on top. Everything is very, very nicely packed. Quick start guide right here on top. Module, all the pieces of the frame. Air assist pump, power supply, parts and pieces. And little cheesy safety goggles they always give you. Snack pack, do not eat, shoot. And air hose and valve and etc. So I'm going to get all this out of the box. We'll get it laid out. We'll get to putting this together. Thing I noticed while unboxing this is these legs are actually adjustable. They're pretty stout feet on here, but if you have an unlevel surface, you could, this is threaded here, and you can screw this down and take care of any little height adjustments you might need to make. Okay, in the little bag of goodies here, we've got a couple of keys, because you can have a key to keep the kids from playing with it. You have an extra laser lens, because that is replaceable. A little micro SD USB thingy there. We got 4 screws, we got a belt, got some limit switch screws, and you have some alien wrenches, a little brush, some wire ties, and some sample wood to play with. So I'll get all my hardware lined up here and get these pieces like kind of out where they belong. Okay, the first step here is to put the side rails on the x-axis gantry. This is a gantry right here. You'll see with the stepper motor over here on my left. So we have a left frame and a right frame. And the left frame is going to have your wires on it. And I have this upside down right now. There's a wire tape back in here you have to kind of keep an eye on, because you're going to need that. And the end here with the plug will go down towards where the motherboard is. So this will set like this, and we'll just simply roll into the frame here. Be careful of your cable there. It just slips through like so. Then on the other side, you'll have the same thing. and there will be a little pulley down here that will need to go down towards the front. So this one will slip through like this. Now again, this is obviously upside down, but once you have that in, you're going to flip it over and then we'll put it into the ends. So just flip this over. And I actually put them in backwards. Yeah, it's decided that upside down, I put them in upside down. So yeah, there's the right direction. Now we're set. Okay, the next step is going to be to put it onto the frame here. Try to do this sort of at both ends. Now you get two different size screws here. You got a 16 millimeter and a 12 millimeter. The 16 millimeter goes down through the top. And you can use the enclosed alien wrench if you wish. I prefer to use these little ball drivers. It's 3 M&Ms if you're keeping score. Now I'm not going to tighten that all the way up yet. Okay, again, a 16 goes into the top. And then there's a 12 millimeter, like so. That goes in from the end. And once I have these all set down here, I'll tighten these up. And I'm going to flip this around so I can get to the end screws. Watch you don't pinch your cable there like I almost did. Okay, the next step is going to be the belts. To do that, I'm going to flip this upside down so I can see what I am doing. We'll get the belts out of the package here. Okay, if you've never done these synchronizing belts before, these belts have teeth. There's also little sprockets here on the drive end that these need to go around. And there is a roller at the other end that they need to go around. Okay, again, I have this upside down. The back is facing me. The little sprockets are down in these recesses down here, and I'm not going to be able to show this because there's no way to get a camera view down in there. To get the belt around that sprocket, you need to make a loop like this, and then just slip it over the end until the tooth part meets the tooth part of the sprocket. And once you have that in there, make sure that the teeth are facing in and it faces the sprocket fine. You'll need to go underneath this bracket here and bring this up around this roller on the end. That's where your belt adjustment is. And it may help if you put a little curl in the end of that first. And right here on this bracket, and I'll show it again on the other side, there's a little slot there where these clips fit into. And if you are too tight, if you're too tight, you'll have to loosen the adjustment up. This is a pretty good little stretch here. But I got her in there. Still need to make an adjustment there later. And while you're down in this corner, there's a stepper motor cable to plug in. This is keyed. There's a little key on one side, so it'll only plug in one way. You can get that plugged in there. Okay, I'll get this side in. Again, make a little loop. Okay, from there again, you take this up underneath this. And you need to get around the roller down there. Make sure your belt does not twist. Teeth should be facing down. And this is a little bracket here where this slips into. And this one does the same thing, again, with the teeth facing down, because you're upside down here. And you need to make sure that your gantry is square. Now, belt tension. Turn this back around so I can get to the belt tensioning screws. There's screws right down here to adjust your belt tension, and this is obviously too loose. So how tight you want the belt? Well, that's a little bit subjective, but my recommendation is that you not over tighten, because if you over tighten you're going to have problems, and if you don't tighten it up enough you're going to have problems. So all we need to do to tighten the belt, you need your 3 M&M Allen wrench. You want to pull your X-axis gantry all the way back here. As you can see, that's just way too floppy there. So you would turn this screw in to increase the tension on it. And that there is about right. Hopefully you can kind of see what I've done there. And this one over here is all floppy like. You want just a little deflection there, but you don't want it to sound like a guitar string either. And while we have this upside down, you need to adjust the eccentrics on these rollers. You should be able to rotate that roller with a little bit of effort, but not just take your finger and spin it wild like that. That one's too loose. So to tighten that up, you would use this little wrench they included on the 10 M&M side till it just reaches there good, and you can still turn it just a little bit with some pressure. Over here, that one there is fine. Well, it needs a little tightening. And you want to check your ones on the X gantry, and those are good there. So the ideal way to check this is when you pick this up, this should roll smoothly, but not just go slamming from one end to the other. Okay, the next step would be to install the laser module itself. See that there's a dovetail type thing here. There's one on the gantry. That just slips in. And you'll have the thumb screw here you'll need to put in from the side. And it would be easier to start that before you put your module in there. That's awful close to that bar there. That's gonna, you gotta have nimble fingers. And I'll just set that at a random height for right now. Okay, now we gotta do some wiring. To install some limit switches here first. You get 2 little limit switches, you get 4 little teeny screws. Okay, these are marked X and Y. So X is you travel this way. So this one will go up here. You want the little arm on the limit switch facing down. There's 2 screw holes in the side. And this is a 1.5 M&Ms if you're keeping track there. And of course you'll want the tab facing the gantry. Don't over tighten these limit switch screws, you'll break the limit switch. Just get them snug, that's all you need. Now you have the same thing up here. Again, the tab, or the little arm, faces down. Now we can get on to do some wiring. So we'll need to unwrap this. And this one here, this is the one on the side. You'll have a larger plug here. That goes onto the stepper motor. And again, this is keyed. You see the little keys there? That will face up. This should plug in with no effort at all. Be very careful not to bend any pins. Your X limit switch plugs in right here. This is also keyed, it only plugs in one way. It should go in easily just like that. Now up here at the top you'll see some little Velcro guys. Where you can lock your cable down in there. Make sure you have enough slack there to get all the way. I need to go on the other side of that harness part there. Need to be over here. We'll probably also be running the air line down through there. On the laser end, again, you have a plug. It's keyed, only goes in one way. And I can't see what I'm doing from over here. The little keys go out. And this cable will fit around like so. Okay, I have this upside down right now so you can see what I'm doing here. You'll have this little cable here comes out. It's for your limit switch. That just plugs together. Again, it's keyed, only goes in one way. And this plug here plugs into the motherboard. There's a black line on this connector. That black line has to face up. And that'll snap in like so, and we're all set there. Okay, next here be the air assist line. Little cable tie on there to cut off. It's got a little valve in there, you can adjust your flow. That there would be full on, that there would be off. It drops down through a little grommet there and just slips right into that connector on the side of the head. I know you can't see that, but it's pretty straightforward there. And we can route this with our cable. Leave yourself some slack there. Make sure you got enough to get to the end. And don't do this so tight that you kink your hose off. And that there will do for the moment. Okay, the connection for the air assist pump. You'll see here this little plug goes into the side of the motherboard down here. And it has a little notch on it. That notch will face the back. Because this won't plug in any other way. That's your only option. It only goes in one way. You shouldn't have to force anything. And you just tighten up that little ring that's on there. And then of course your air hose will plug onto the port of air hose barb. There we go. Of course, we have USB cable connection. We'll go there. Power supply, I'll need to unwrap this and get it assembled and put together and grab a laptop. But this cable here will plug right into the top there. And these keys will go into the key switch. Okay, so I'm going to take a look here and see what's on this drive that comes with it. Of course, we have some manuals. The 20 watt, 30 watt, engraver material guide, some Lightburn documents. There's an instructional video. Oop. We have a test file of some things we can make if we wish. And software, it's just got laser Gerbil on it and Lightburn, but I will use the most current version. We have a note about Lightburn here. Let's see what this says. Oh, you have to buy it. Well, I knew that. I already have 6 Lightburn licenses, so yep, knew that. Okay, as you can see there, I've got just a honeycomb board underneath because I don't want any accidents, at least not on my saw table here. So before we turn this on, we got an e-stop here. You got to turn that to the right to make sure it's released. If you hit that, it'll latch down. Shut everything down, turn it to the right, quarter turn or less, and it'll pop back up. We're going to want our key on. Turn the power on. And everything powers up. So what I need to do now is get this in the Lightburn. Well, I'll open up Lightburn here. I've had so many lasers, I gotta make a couple changes and leave that on choose devices. I'm gonna find my laser. And there it is. I just have to call it something, and we'll do that in the next step. Is the logo B1. And it automatically enters your dimensions of whether you're working in M&Ms or in inches. I'm working on mine in inches. I want to auto home this on startup. Hit that left. Finish. Hit that OK. I'm going to go down here to label list from the longer D1. And it's bringing it home. And it's bringing it home. There are settings you can change to make that move quicker. Okay, and so there we are in the home position. Now I need to find something to play with. Okay, to set your focus, I just got a little scrap 1/8" plywood on here. You drop this little kickstand down there all the way down and loosen your thumb screw up till that touches straight. Tighten your screw back up. Make sure you fold your kickstand back up. And you'll be ready to go. Change a couple of my settings here. On my fill, I'm now doing 10,000 millimeters per minute at 40% power. I cut power down on that. And my cut speed is 1,000 millimeters per minute. 80% power. I'm going to do 2 passes. Move it pretty quick so I don't get any scorching. The air assist does come on like it's supposed to. Well, there's a cow. Still got a holy cow because the fill's still burnt through. We have to investigate turning the power down a little more yet. Changed my fill setting on this one here to 15,000 millimeters per minute at 20% power, and got a little bit better result. Running a line engrave here of a butterfly at 25,000 millimeters per minute at 20% power on this 1/8" plywood, just to see how it's going to look and what kind of detail I get. It's actually pretty good. This is kind of a strange type of plywood. The other side of this is different. And now what I'm going to do is, this is supposed to engrave it up to 36,000 millimeters per minute. I got to try that. I'm going to try the flip side of this. Do it up here on the whiter part. Okay, I'm kind of guessing at the power here, a speed of 36,000 millimeters per minute, because I never tried to engrave anything that fast. I crank power up to 50%. It's just a line engrave. We'll, what's the time it's supposed to take to do that? 1 minute and 50 seconds. Let's see how it does. That's really moving. So there it is, and it looks pretty good. Can't complain about that. That was really moving along there too. So what do I think of this so far? I like it. It's got a good construction. It's got pretty good architecture to it. Turning the air assist on and off automatically in Lightburn is nice, so you don't constantly have the pump running. The pump is quiet. The fan on the laser head is somewhat loud. And you can probably hear it. And now you can't. So it does make some noise. Not a deal breaker at all. I mean, I'm out here in a shop. I got lots of things that make more noise than this. But yeah, I don't think you'd want this on your nightstand next to your bed running while you're trying to sleep, unless you like that type of white noise. Anything I don't like about it, the shield on the front where you can see the laser beam is not as dark as I think it could be. You need your goggles on if you're going to look at that. If you're just walking by at a casual glance, you'll be fine. But if you're going to actually sit and stare at that, that shield is not dark enough and does not block the light enough to keep from hurting your eyes. So yeah, wear your goggles or your safety glasses. I'll have to do a little bit of playing around with this and get familiar with some of the settings on it. I do have other 30-watt lasers, but every one of them is different. Same with a 20-watt or a 10-watt or even a 5-watt. Just because this particular 5-watt one works with these settings on this laser, it may not on this one. So all your settings are going to be a little bit different. You're going to play around, run some test patterns, and I'll be doing that here in the future. I may figure out how I'm going to make a baseboard for this. With those great big feet, I don't really have any kind of mount, so I might have to come up with something for that. Again, Longer did provide this to me to demonstrate, and this is brand new to the market. It's first laser, 30-watt laser you can get for under $1,000. I have no complaints with this whatsoever about the way it's made. It's got some nice features, and above all, it has limit switches, which is almost a deal breaker for me. If a laser doesn't have limits, I don't even mess with it. It's too hard to work from absolute coordinates if you don't have your limit switches in there. So, if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. It always helps the channel. There'll be a link in the description on where you can get this from Longer. There'll be more videos coming up on this, I promise. Thanks for watching. I'm Roger in the shop. We'll see you on the next one.